Good morning, everyone. Happy
Good morning,
Saturday.
everyone.
Good
Morning, Mary.
Morning.
Let's see. I just want to make sure I don't get feedback today because I know that happened last time. Yep, there it is. There we go. So turn that off and come back to where we need to be. So today is Patriots Day. It's 20 years since 9/11. Can you believe that all that time went by? That was at the very start of my teaching career because I started late teaching. So I was, guess I was 39 and just starting in a new district. Nope, it was my second year. And I remember taking my kids to a special. They had probably the first period special. And on my way back, I noticed there was a crowd of people in the resource room and they were all crowded around a TV. And that's when I first heard about what had happened. And it was scary because my brother at the time was living in New York City and I tried to call him right away and you couldn't get through. The lines were just, everybody was trying to get through and couldn't get through. But 20 years. That's crazy. It's crazy. So I don't know if you say happy Patriots Day, like what do you say? But I hope that we can come together as a country and respect each other despite our differences and beliefs and just unite in the fact that we're all Americans. We're all, members of the United States of America, and hold your family close, and speaking of holding, yeah, absolutely. I mean, we can agree to disagree.
This silly fighting about politics and COVID.
Right. Yeah, there's other things that are more important. And I think sometimes people jump on their bandwagon as a means of feeling like they're part of a group, feeling like their voice matters. And your voice does matter, but if you exclude all other viewpoints and just stick to one, then you're not really using your brain and you're not really thinking, you're not open and respectful. So that's not what this show is about today. But I'll go back to the point of hold your family close. And today we are including family. Kathy's daughter and my daughter are going to make appearances today. Yay! We're bringing our family on. Jessie was running late. She's got a braces kind of thing that she's doing. And she goes, I'm going to be late. I got to brush my teeth. So she'll be here in a minute. But we're going to talk about exercise today, which is why we brought our young fit daughters into this chat. But first, what's in your diffuser? You got anything going? Anybody?
Sure.
What you got, Kath?
Well, I decided to go with a blend that I made the blend, but I like to diffuse when I'm exercising. I thought since we're talking about exercise today, right, this would be perfect. So I have 2 drops of orange, 2 drops of peppermint, and 2 drops of grapefruit. Orange and grapefruit are very uplifting. So I thought that's a perfect way, to exercise. And then with the peppermint is kind of stimulating. It stimulates your mind. It helps with attention and focus and performance as well. So I thought all those things, and it helps me breathe better. I know eucalyptus does as well, but just the 3 of those together, it just makes a nice clean scent. It makes me feel like I can really take in a deep breath.
We always like citrus, and I like just grapefruit by itself a lot of times. I like the addition of peppermint. Mary, got anything different? Really, you got your orange and cinnamon going?
I tried to get something different, and I kept looking through your things you send me every
week. The daily.
And I'm like, I don't have that one in the middle.
Well, you know what? You could do that and skip the one in the middle and just see what the other 2 look like.
Yeah, I'll have to try that. But I was like, okay, cinnamon and orange.
Well, you get points for trying to be creative with that. So today I have eucalyptus blue and lavender together. The eucalyptus I picked for breathing, because when you are exercising, breathing is like the number one thing,
Right.
or at least as important as the activity itself. And the lavender also is good for breathing, but together they create like a spa-like scent. So I've already done 2 workouts this morning. So this is my, let's breathe and relax and be focused. There's my Jessie.
Good morning, Jessie.
Morning, Jesse.
I don't want a crotch shot. Fix up. Look and see, there's books. There's books to your, no, the others. There's books on the bookcase. Put it on the Bible. What?
You're so wrong if it's on the Bible.
There's books right there on the bookcase. You can put it up a little higher. Yeah, so all about exercise today. We know that we should move our bodies. We know it, but it's hard, you know? Who exercises every single day? Anybody? Who wants to exercise every single day?
Well, you're not supposed to.
Right.
You got to give your body a rest.
Okay, that's good. I rest a lot.
I rest all the time.
You know, I was thinking about this because I did a little bit of research, and I was looking at, you know, the difference between physical activity and exercise. And physical activity is movement that involves the contraction of your muscles. So you're working, you're doing things. So you're climbing stairs, or you're doing housework, or gardening, or walking. Those are all examples of physical activity. But in order to qualify, oh, Camille's here, yay.
Hi, Camille.
I don't think there she is. Hi, Camille. I'm so glad you're here, because I didn't get a chance to look at that article that you sent me, and maybe Kathy did, but we're just talking about exercise today and physical activity. So physical activity is like using your muscles and things, but exercise is more specific form of physical activity where it's planned, purposeful, and performed with the intention of fitness or other health benefits. Fine line there. But it made me think back to when we were talking about the blue zones and how those people don't exercise, but they move their bodies and they work their bodies in such ways in their daily activities that they don't need it. And so they live long lives without the formal exercise, but their physical activity is more than just moderate. It's you know, it's up there enough to get their heart rate going. And so a lot of physical activity is considered to be light or moderate in intensity. And there are health benefits that can only be gotten when you are more intense with that physical activity, hence the exercise. So anybody know the types of exercise? Because it's not a one size fit all, and it's not a one exercise will take care of everything, right?
Right.
So what are some things that you have to consider when you're considering if you're truly in an exercise program and you want to be physically fit?
Cardio.
Yeah, that's a big one. I was ignoring that one. You know, I was like, it's too hard. But yeah, cardio, getting your heart rate up. And I'll share later, I found a heart rate calculator, because as I'm getting on my rebounder every day and I'm up and down and up and down, and my smartwatch will tell me what my heart rate is. And I'm watching it go up and up and up. And I'm thinking, where's my target rate? Where should I be? And there's a calculator that's just based on your age. And I wonder about that too, because people at different ages are of different physical health. So is it a one size fits all with that? But yeah,
I think you with the cardio thing, when I did stress testing on people, we would take the number 220 and subtract their age,
Right,
their target heart rate of being their maximum predicted heart rate, actually.
right.
But we would not, I mean, we would only take them to that maximum predicted heart rate for the test because they were monitored.
Mhm.
You don't want to exercise at that 220 minus your age. You don't want to exercise at your maximum predicted heart rate. So you want to exercise to condition your heart more between 75 and 80% of what that target or
Right,
what that max predicted heart rate is.
right.
You know, you want to keep it at a level of that, and that will more condition your heart.
And what happens if you go over that?
You're stressing your heart, I think, a little too much. And if you have other health conditions, that could actually not be a good thing to be up that high. You don't want to exercise to keep your heart rate up, sustained at that level.
Right, because I do go higher than that from time to time. I have gone really high. I've gone to 160 and I'm like, wait, you know.
And I think that's where sometimes HIIT exercises or high intensity interval training is good, because you do take your heart rate up, but then you have you go hard for anywhere between 20 seconds to maybe a couple minutes,
Mhm.
depending on what your abilities are. And then you relax, like you can walk around, but you bring your heart rate back down, and it still conditions your heart muscle really well and your cardiovascular system. It helps with your breathing and everything, but you're on that up and down. And it also helps your metabolic, what's the word I'm looking for? Capacity or whatever. So it does help with your heart. It helps with your blood pressure. It helps with your cholesterol levels. Helps with people with diabetes too, supposedly, that, your heart rate and your metabolic, what am I looking for? I can't remember the term, but anyways, it does help all those things.
Right. Yeah, I was worried because I was getting way up there, but I don't stay up there. I think I stay, and it's not intentional, but when I looked at where I was, I think I'm in the range, but I worried. I'm like, what happens if I go too high? Because a couple of times I went really high and I'm like, slow down.
And the more conditioned your heart becomes with exercising, whether you're doing aerobic or HIIT training or any other type of exercise, when you stop to relax or when you slow down, your heart rate will drop a little bit quicker than somebody that is not as conditioned.
Mm.
It'll take a longer period of time for your heart rate to come down if you're not as conditioned as you'd like it to be. At least that's what I've always noticed with our doing stress testing on people at the hospital.
Well, that's the thing that a lot of people think, even like young, healthy people think that they need to be working at their max heart rate for a really long time. But really, it's about being able to dip down and recover and have a faster recovery period. That is a better indicator of better cardiovascular health. So you shouldn't just be up there all the time.
Right.
I'm just looking at myself because usually I can just look ahead. I'm looking at Jessie this way, and even though she's over here on my screen. Jessie, tell us about your qualifications. I mean, and I know what they are because they aren't, but I mean, you've done your own research, right, about a lot of the stuff, and you took classes in college, dance physiology, and
yeah, but that was a million years ago. It doesn't feel relevant anymore. But yeah, no, I'm not a certified trainer or anything. I'm just someone who a few years ago realized that I wasn't gonna. I'd always been really skinny growing up, and I realized that I couldn't just rest on that wasn't actually healthy. And so I started working out and trying to eat a little healthier and just learning more, working out with friends who, knew how to work out. I don't know what you mean by qualifications.
Oh, no, I mean, that's your background and how you got started in that. And you rely on a lot of professional videos out there, aerobics instructors and
over the past year and a half for sure. I've been in a real gym once or twice since all of the COVID stuff happened. So
Right.
yeah, I mean, I used to just go out and work at the gym by myself, but now there's a lot of different apps where they have great trainer-led classes and workouts laid out for you, which is great because then you don't have to put it together. You can just watch somebody and you have somebody motivating you the whole time.
Mhm. And they give you tips on how you should be feeling or what you should be doing? And I mean, it's hard. I know when you're in a real class, I remember taking a yoga class and the instructor was so intuitive across the room. She could tell me how to fix something. And of course you don't have the interaction on these videos, but do they give you little tidbits along the way to?
Yeah, I mean, if you're, it's basically just instruction on how to do the move correctly,
Okay.
but it's things that maybe you wouldn't forget about. Like if you're doing a squat, the main thing you're thinking about is bending your knees and lowering and coming back up. But there's all these little micro movements you have to incorporate as well. You got to make sure your knees are tracking over your toes, that they're not buckling inwards. You have to be engaging your core. You have to have your chest up. There's all these little things that if you know how to do it properly, you're probably doing it. But if you're just learning, it's great when they're like, don't forget, engage your core.
Mhm.
Right.
A reminder along the way.
And I find that when you are in the moment and you are stressed and you're, if you're working hard at that point and you're trying to do a movement, a lot of that stuff goes out the window. And so those reminders are good to help you to get in the right position and to engage the right muscles and things. So,
Because
Right.
when
I think a lot of people, when they're exercising, to at least, I know if I'm doing something and really intent on, sometimes I can feel my shoulders like creeping up, like people tighten up and you're not supposed to do that, unless it's a specific movement for something. But even when I was in Pure Barre, I remember, it's a bar class where I remember the instructor saying, okay, get your shoulders down, keep your shoulders down. She'd look across the room and I know she saw me because she'd go, and then right away I would feel like, so you do have to, you might be tightening up certain other things. Like Jesse said, keep your core engaged. But when your core is engaged, you don't want to do this because then you feel all that stress in your neck and it's not good for your posture or anything else to have all that tenseness there.
great. Okay. So cardio, what else do we do? I mean, because cardio is one thing. I think that's probably one of the most important ones just because of, your heart, and you can't see your heart. And so making sure you're exercising your heart is important. But what else?
People do strength training,
Mm-hmm.
with lifting weights, and Jesse could probably tell us more about that than me.
I was looking on the Mayo Clinic. They only talked about cardio and muscle building, but I was also looking at cardio. I think it was a targeted search, so they didn't give me everything, but they say that you should do muscle building, strength building twice a week, and that cardio should happen for 150 minutes a week. So you could break that down to five times a week, 30 minutes a week, 30 minutes each time, or break it up. Camille just left us, but maybe she'll be back. I don't know if she's home or not, but I didn't think she was going to be home. So I was surprised to see her. That she found an article about like sticking exercise in every 5-10 minutes. Did you get a chance to look at it, Kath?
No, I didn't.
Okay. Well, maybe if she comes back, we'll ask her about that because it was a different theory. She listened to a podcast about it. And it was, just being able to throw exercise into your day in smaller increments, like for a 5 or 10 minute period, and then do that throughout the day. But I can't speak to that because I didn't get a chance to listen to it. So
that 150 minutes, is that what you said?
Yeah.
I just think that there's so many different ideas of what's correct. And that I don't know that everyone should just say, yes, that's what's right for me. Because I think everybody's body is different. And some people might need more of the strength training. And it's just because one source says it doesn't mean that
Well, yeah, yeah,
Because I think you can find a lot of other sources that have different numbers,
right.
you know?
I trust the Mayo Clinic. They did good by my mom. But yeah, I mean, I think just exercising your heart. Now it maybe it's not 5 times 30. Maybe you do an hour at a time. I mean, just depending on what the activity is. You know, you go out to a bar and you dance for an hour. Another one is what else? Endurance. So building your muscles for endurance. So I think of, and maybe wrongly, but the first thing that came to mind was like marathon running or marathon anything, where you need your muscles to hang on there for a longer period of time. And so you're building your endurance. I don't know if that's one of, like, I think of 3 things when I think of exercise, and this one threw me for a loop as I was doing some research. So, but
it can also be just being able to do more reps of a particular.
Yeah.
And I mean, honestly, marathon training isn't always the healthiest thing because you're putting your body under so much stress. Like,
Right.
we weren't built to run 26.2 miles or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
That's like an incredible amount of stress on your body that isn't necessary. People are like, oh, they're a marathon runner, they must be healthy. But are they cross training? Are they doing the muscle training? Are they working mobility? Like, there's so many other things that, you know, when Kevin was training for his marathon, he wasn't doing all the other things because his body was so tired from running, doing these long runs every week, but it wasn't actually healthy. Like, you need to be incorporating muscle training, strength training as well.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, I'm sorry, Jesse, with that, for that type of endurance or strength training, would you, as far as marathon runner goes, do you think that they have to use lighter weights to, if they're using a weight of some kind to help strengthen and build the muscle, because you don't want them, I mean, they're not going to do the real heavy stuff because that would just.
I mean, I don't know. I think there's this misconception about lifting heavy weights that it's going to make you bulk up, but that's not necessarily true, especially if you're incorporating all of the other elements in this. If you're running that far, like, you're not going to get,
bulky.
Yeah.
No, but I think the heavier weights might tire their muscles out even more and cause more inflammation. And that's why I was wondering, do they use a lighter weight and maybe do more repetitions?
I mean, I can't speak on that. I don't know. For me, I can't see myself ever training for a marathon because I don't like running. But if it were me, I think I would still stick to the moderate to heavy weights and just maybe not do it as frequently or not do as many reps, like, rather than, because the lighter reps or the lighter weight, higher reps kind of goes along with the marathon running where, like, when you're running, you're not using a weight, you're just using your body. And if you're doing really light weights, then it's kind of a similar concept. Whereas the point of cross training when you're training for something like a marathon is to switch it up and give your muscles something completely different to do. So that's what I would say, going for the heavier weights might actually be more beneficial.
Okay. Yeah, I just didn't really know a whole lot about that. That's why I was asking.
I mean, I'll never run a marathon, so.
Me either. I don't think our bodies are meant to run at all unless the bear's chasing us, and then they're gonna just get me. So you guys are safe.
I heard that quote about, like, if you're trying to run away from a bear, all you have to do is not be the slowest.
Yeah.
You just have to be faster than one person.
Right. And then the last thing, which I try to do frequently, I'd like to do it every day, but I can't say I am, because I have adapted my own lazy girls morning routine, and that's for stretching and for flexibility. And so I like to do, I've talked about that before, how I like to do that for a half an hour as I wake up, like before I get out of bed. And the hard part about that is, as soon as I wake up, well, I never quite wake up enough to do it at the beginning. Like, it's just like, okay, I'm going to stretch. Okay, I should start my watch. I'm going to stretch. And I do it. And by the time I finish the first 10 minutes in bed, and then I actually do a lot on my back, then I flip over on my front and I start to do that Cobra Pose. And then I put my head down and I'm like, I could go right back to sleep. There is nothing so comfortable as a bed when you're supposed to be getting out of it. It's amazing. But so a lot of times it's really hard to get started, or if I feel like something's happening that day and I wake up too late. But yeah, stretching is really important to keep elongating the muscles and improving your flexibility. And I know I feel better. I just feel great the whole entire day if I do my stretching in the morning. So.
And I also think that, you know, staying flexible like that and stretching will help to prevent some injuries as well.
And as we age, it helps us pick things up the floor. You know, it's like my husband drops something. He's like, you get it. And before I started getting into shape, and actually this was years ago, what did I used to say to you, Jess? If I drop something,
You pick it up, you're closer to the ground.
So stretching is important. Jess, do you want to talk about that?
Well, I just want to clarify, there is a difference between mobility and flexibility. They can go hand in hand, but you know, flexibility is how long our muscles can stretch, but mobility is how our body can move, and it can be tied in with flexibility because, you know, you might be able to have a greater range of motion if you're more flexible, but it's a hard distinction to make, but it's not quite the same thing. And I wish I could be a little more.
I can hear the confusion. I mean, I'm thinking of
No,
it too. I'm like, yeah.
Well, people think that they're synonyms, but they're not. You know,
Right.
it's a different kind of thing. It's ease of movement. I think is maybe a way to talk about mobility, as opposed to how far you can move, which would be flexibility.
Mhm.
So being able to, I could look it up and
Well, we would improve our mobility with increasing our flexibility. Does that make sense?
yeah,
Being able to, you know, bend over and pick things up, or not getting, you know, being able to just do everyday chores around the house, things that like, oh man, I got to get on the floor. That means I have to get off the floor. That stretching can help that. Plus, of
Yeah.
course, you know, muscle building and all of that. But
well, and that's the thing, that I think that flexibility and strength training together can create better mobility.
right. Okay. I like that. I like that. Let's see. Where does yoga fall into all of this? Because yoga is a little bit of, I don't think of yoga as cardio, but in some, I don't know, maybe some of that hot yoga or some of those things can get your heart rate up a little bit. I don't know enough about that, but yoga certainly works on mobility and flexibility and ties in that breath, which is so, so important, because that's the first thing we stop doing when things get hard, is we hold our breath and we're like, yeah. And I have to remind myself all the time, like I keep threatening to make the lazy day, the lazy girls morning exercise routine and put it on a video, because I talk to myself the whole entire time I'm doing it. I have to be my own instructor when I do that. And the thing that I don't like about many flexibility stretching exercise videos and things is because they move at a certain pace. And I think it's much more beneficial for me to work at my pace, that I can hold a pose longer, you know, and get deeper into it until I feel like that burn is subsiding or whatever. But I don't know how I got on this topic, because we were going to talk about yoga. Oh, well, oops. But we do have somebody who can talk about yoga, and I'm going to share a video that Kathy's daughter made for us. So we're going to bring her on screen. She had to go to a baseball game or something today.
Oh, she's actually at the University of Notre Dame football game
Oh,
with her kids and her husband and her in-laws today.
Nice, nice. All right, I just had to find where I was going so I can share my screen. And we will hear from Bobby. Share. All right, you got it? Is it there?
It's there.
All right, make sure you can hear it too.
Hello, everybody in Living Well and Wise.
Give me a
My name is
thumbs up if
Bobby
you can hear it.
Hall, and I was invited by Linda and Kathy to talk to you today a little bit about the health benefits of yoga. So I'm just going to give you a little bit about my background and go from there. So I've been teaching in high school for 15 years, and maybe about 5 years ago, our principal and the department chairs, I'm the health and phys ed department chair, we got together and wanted to come up with a list of some new classes to offer our students that we found might benefit them. And the principal and I, of course, were on the same wavelength because we both wrote down yoga. So the kids at that time and always, I think, are showing signs of high levels of stress and anxiety. And we thought that this would be a really great option for them to have during the school day. So it was important for me to do this the right way. There's lots of ways to incorporate yoga. However, I've done a little bit of yoga in the past, but I didn't feel that it was appropriate to just pop a DVD in. So I went through the whole 200-hour yoga teacher training program to actually become certified. So I am a certified yoga instructor and have been teaching it for the past 4.5, 5 years. So throughout that training, I learned a lot more in depth about yoga. And I learned that yoga was far more than just stretching. So many people say they can't do yoga because they're not flexible. I hear that all the time. That is not true. If you're breathing, you're doing yoga. If you're consciously breathing and paying attention to your breath, you're doing yoga. So I'm here to tell you that yoga is way more than just being flexible. Okay. So yoga is about listening to your body. It's about working with your breath. It's about accepting yourself and your body where you or it is, and letting go of expectations and criticism and anything else that doesn't serve you. Yoga is about quieting the mind and letting the breath guide and lead you. And regardless of your level of yoga expertise, if you're practicing regularly, yoga will provide you or offer you physical and mental health benefits. And it doesn't matter what age you are. You can start if you're 70, you can start if you're 15, you can start if you're 10. They have kids yoga. You can do it at 5, right? You can do it with your kids and grandkids. So you can do yoga at any age. So don't let age or what you think your ability is limit you. So, and if you're going through an illness or recovering from surgery or living with a chronic condition, yoga can become an integral part of your treatment and potentially quicken your healing. Okay, so, sorry. A yoga therapist, there are people that are yoga therapists. They can work with patients and put together individualized plans that work together with their medical surgeries and therapies. That way yoga can support healing and the process of healing and help that person experience symptoms with more centeredness and less distress. So that's something that has been studied by Johns Hopkins Medicine. Okay, so a lot of the information that I'm going to give you, that's a little bit more, well, I'm not going to go too scientific here. I'm just going to give you some basic stuff, but it is supported by research. Some of it's from Johns Hopkins, and then they have a whole list of things that are resources that they have used to help in their studies, but also to they've reviewed some things too from other studies and other places. PubMed is another one that has lots of articles about yoga and its importance and benefits, health benefits. So I'm going to give you a few. I'm also going to show you a few different poses that might be helpful. I won't go too in depth on them, but I'll go right to it. Okay, so number one, yoga improves your strength, balance, and flexibility. So slow movements and deep breathing increase your blood flow and warm up your muscles. And while you're holding a pose, that can build strength. Okay, so strength is important for posture, for sure, for your daily activities to be done with more ease, and for bone density. As we age, we can either maintain bone density or it can decrease. Okay, so by the time you hit about 30, your bone density is not going to continue to increase. But hopefully we've done a good job of building that bone density through diet and exercise up until that point. But we can maintain our bone density by doing weight-bearing exercises, and yoga can be one of those exercises. Okay, balance is important, so we keep ourselves upright and avoid injuries from falling. Flexibility is also important for posture and allowing our joints to move freely. So many people often think of flexibility as something only dancers and gymnasts need, but in reality, it's necessary and beneficial for people of all ages and abilities. Okay, so one pose that, or a couple of poses that we'll talk about for balance or strength. One pose is tree pose. I think that one is fairly universal, or people at least understand or have seen it or whatever. So tree pose, you plant one foot into the ground, rooting all four corners of your foot into your mat. Keep this hip tucked in. We don't want to go like this, so keep that hip tucked in. Then you're going to bring the other leg out to a 90-degree angle. So you can start by just keeping your foot on the ground and bringing your heel to your ankle. You can keep your hands on your hips in prayer or above your head or whatever you want to make your tree look like. For today, I'm going to keep my hands on my hips. Okay, so you can start there. Or you can bring, if you're feeling more adventurous and more stable, you can bring your foot to your calf. If you are also feeling more adventurous, stable, and strong, you can take your foot to the inside of your thigh and press firmly into your thigh and keep your body upright. You never want to press on our knee ever, because that is just not good for our knee. Okay. Oh yeah, I forgot one other pose for strength. All the warrior poses are great for strength, but also balance. So if you've seen Warrior 1, right, or Virabhadrasana A, it's kind of a lunge, and then your arms are straight up above your head, your gaze is up, and you lunge deeply, back leg is straight. Warrior 2, let me turn my mat so you can see a little bit more. It's a wider stance. So your front toes are pointing through the front edge of your mat, and your back foot is parallel to the back edge of your mat. Arms are in a T, our shoulders are down and away from our ears, and we're gazing off that front ear head. We don't want to lean one way or the other. Keep your shoulders over your hips. Okay. All right, and then Warrior 3 gets into a balancing pose, reverse warrior. You rotate up, your upper body up and back, and your gaze goes up. So it changes your balance when you change your gaze and when you change your position, okay? All right, number 2, yoga helps with back pain relief. So yoga is as good as basic stretching for easing pain and improving mobility in people that have lower back pain. However, the American College of Physicians recommends yoga as a first-line treatment for chronic low back pain. So that's great, right? So a few different poses that you can try for chronic back pain is cat, cow, frog, and pigeon. Okay, these are on the floor. Also, if you can't get down on the floor, I would highly suggest you do these in your bed before you get out of bed in the morning. So cat, cow, you're on all fours. Hopefully you can see this. You're on all fours. You're gonna lift your chin and your tailbone, drop your belly toward the floor. And then on the exhale, so this is inhale, lift. On the exhale, you're gonna round your back, drop your head, and drop your tailbone, really press up through your spine, and you're gonna keep working with your breath on that. Frog pose, you're gonna face the long edge of your mat. You draw your knees out and your feet out like this. Again, it's way more comfortable in your bed because it's smushy and doesn't hurt your knees. Okay, and then you just kind of come down like this and allow your legs to come out. It really does a great job of releasing that back pain in the lower back or sciatica. The last one is inverted pigeon or reclined pigeon. You're going to take put yourself on your mat or on your bed. Take one leg over the top of the other, so ankle to the top of the knee. Lay down. Interlace your hands behind your thigh and just tug. Just gently tug, work with your breath. On the inhale, you'll kind of release a little bit. Exhale, you can pull a little bit closer. Okay, so super easy, especially if you're doing it in your bed. That's a little safer and easier to get up and out. Okay, and it's again more cushiony. Okay, yoga can also ease arthritis symptoms. So some gentle yoga has been shown to ease the discomfort of tender and swollen joints, as John Hopkins review of 11 different studies has said, and a lot of those studies came from PubMed and other places too. So feel free to look up John Hopkins Medical, and you can search articles with yoga. You can search articles about yoga in PubMed. So there's lots of different types of yoga classes, and each of them, each instructor and each class kind of has its own spin and own strengths and things that they kind of focus on. So it's important to find a studio that fits your needs. Yoga practices like Hatha Yoga and Anusara, Ashtanga, Bikram, and many others emphasize lots of different focuses like toning, strengthening, meditation, things like that. So if you've never done yoga at a studio, I highly suggest you start with their basic class or even a short form Ashtanga class if they offer one. This class is sort of tough. It's an hour, I mean, all of them are an hour long. It's tough, but they really teach you how to enter and exit poses and what you should be feeling in them. So those are great places to start. And then to test out the vibe of the studio. Classes that tend to be more advanced include slow flow or slow flow vinyasa, but advanced doesn't mean that you have to be able to pretzel yourself. A good instructor, no matter what the class is, will always offer modifications to any pose. They should also ask at the beginning of the class if anybody has any limitations, physical limitations or new injuries or anything that they need to be aware of. Okay, so if they're not asking those questions, please make sure you go up to them and let them know if you have any physical issues going on so they know how to modify for you, okay? A yin class is slower and less movement, and actually you hold poses for longer, okay? So the importance of knowing your yoga class and what kind of class you're going to. I had offered yoga to our teachers here at school. And one teacher said, I will never do yoga ever again. I went to one class and I'm just not interested in a bunch of macho people sweating their brains out. And I'm like, whoa, you clearly didn't go to a class that was right for you. So it is important. Not all yoga classes are the same. So you need to find which one is right for you, okay? All right, yoga also benefits the heart. So regular yoga practice can reduce levels of stress and body-wide inflammation, which contributes to a healthier heart. So several factors contributing to the heart disease include high blood pressure, excess weight, and can also, all those things can also be addressed through yoga. So yoga as a stress outlet. One of yoga's clearest benefits to the heart is the ability to relax the body and mind. Sorry. Emotional stress can cause us a lot of physical side effects, including the release of hormones like cortisol and adrenaline, which narrow your arteries and increase blood pressure. No bueno, right? The deep breathing and mental focus of yoga can offset the stress. Worry and depression commonly follow a cardiac event, such as a heart attack or bypass surgery or diagnosis of heart disease. So as part of an overall treatment plan, yoga can help you manage that stress. Yoga is also a heart booster. So beyond offloading your stress, practicing yoga can help lower your blood pressure, lower your cholesterol and your blood glucose levels, as well as your heart rate, making it a useful lifestyle intervention. So yoga is a lifestyle. It's not just an exercise, it's a lifestyle, okay? So one study has shown that blood measurements and waist circumference, so markers of heart disease, improved in middle-aged adults with metabolic syndrome who practiced yoga for 3 months. That's cool. That's really cool, okay? Lots of benefits. Another study showed that slow-paced yoga classes twice a week reduced the frequency of atrial fibrillation, so AFib, episodes in patients with that condition. And another report, patients with heart failure who went through an 8-week yoga program showed improvement in exercise capacity and quality of life. And they also had lower blood pressure levels or lower blood levels of markers for inflammation, which contribute to heart disease. Okay, yoga is also really great to help people quit smoking. So there's some research out there that indicates yoga might be a useful tool in helping smokers quit. Again, yoga is a lifestyle. So when you take care of yourself, you tend to do things that take care of your body, that are better for your body. You're just more mindful about what you're doing to your body. Okay. Some heart opener poses are down dog, which I think you know what that is, right? Upside down V, right? Down dog is actually a heart opener because you want to press your heart towards your thighs. Hips go high, our head is down, heart towards the thighs. Camel pose is a heart opener. You can do camel starting with your hands on your back. Your hips stay over your knees and you just kind of open and reach back like this. If you're more flexible or you feel like you need a little bit more, you can reach one hand down to your ankle or your heel. If you can do both, go for it. If you go too far, here's how you know you go too far. If your breathing becomes short and choppy, if your breathing is not long and smooth and steady, when you deepen yourself into a pose, you're too far. Come out a little bit so you can breathe normally. Okay. There's lots and lots of other poses. Dancer pose. There's a few different kinds. So you go like this and you can open up. So you're leading with your heart and opening. There's bridge and wheel, and those are great poses too. You can probably look those up. I know this is getting a little bit long, so I got a couple more to let you know about here. Yoga relaxes you and helps you sleep better. So there is research that shows that a consistent bedtime routine can help you get into the right mindset and prepare your body to fall asleep and stay asleep. Okay, I would not do styles like vinyasa or Bikram, hot yoga, because those styles get your heart pumping. I would not do those before bedtime. However, I would choose something more meditative like yoga nidra, which is like awesome. The best thing ever. So if you ever have a chance to do a yoga nidra, do that. Okay. Or hatha yoga, because those are more relaxing. Okay. So like a yin or something like that too, the longer holds and poses. Even in your own bed, you can do the legs up the wall pose. So you can turn around and put your bottom at your headboard and your legs straight up the wall and just kind of relax with your arms open and your heart open. Just breathe, okay? And get yourself just calmed down, okay? Yoga can also help provide more energy and brighter moods. So you might feel an increased mental and physical energy after doing yoga. It might boost your alertness and your enthusiasm and have fewer negative feelings after getting into a routine of practicing yoga. Again, a good instructor will guide you through everything, but also have some words of wisdom and some nuggets poured in practice or help you kind of, just a little bit, keep your mind off of things or help you to release the things that don't serve you, the negative thoughts, the expectation. It reminds you to release whatever has happened in your day and just be present on your mat. That is a skill that is so difficult for people, but so important. Okay, yoga also helps you manage your stress for those same things, right? According to the National Institute of Health, so there's scientific evidence that shows that yoga supports stress management, mental health, mindfulness, healthy eating, weight loss, and quality of sleep. Again, all of those are lifestyle behaviors, lifestyle things. So yoga is a great way to kind of start tweaking your lifestyle to help benefit your health and overall wellness. Okay, one really great pose that I never finish a practice without is corpse pose or Shavasana. That is a complete state of rest before you're sleeping. So you're still awake, but you're clearing your mind, you're clearing your heart, you're laying on your back, palms facing up to receive all the positive energy that you guys have, you and the class or just you have created within that yoga practice. Okay. But it's helpful to clear your mind and just focus on your breathing and just let it go. We let go of deep breathing. We let go of things that don't serve us. And you just rest and take in all that positive energy that you just created in your practice. Last two, yoga connects you with a really supportive community. You guys, community is huge, especially in this day and age. We are social beings and we need to have people who are like-minded supporting us, right? So participating in yoga classes can ease loneliness and provide an environment for group healing and support. Okay, so that's important for your health. Community is important for your health. And yoga promotes better self-care. Again, it's a mindset. Yoga is a lifestyle. So practicing it regularly, we tend to treat ourselves, mind and body, better overall. So I know this was long. I hope you got a lot out of it. There is a lot of effort and thought put into this. So I hope you all have a fantastic day and you enjoy everything else that Linda and Kathy have for you today. So, all right, see you later and namaste.
Wow. Thank you, Bobby. That was a lot of information in a short time. So you guys, some of you I might have muted. So if you want to speak, you might want to unmute yourself. Yeah, one of the things that I connected with that, it has really nothing to do with yoga per se, but the idea that when we start doing exercise, our nutritional choices become better. If only because you don't want to undo all of that hard work that you just did. And you're like, well, I'm not going to eat those potato chips because then what's the sense of me exercising, right? And that might be a flawed thinking, but a lot of times that's what happens, is that we think, we start taking better care of ourselves all around with nutritional choices and others, because we're exercising, because we're trying to take care of our bodies. And I think that's needed, that good health is not just one area of our lives, but multiple areas. Anybody got anything about yoga? Just do you do yoga?
What?
You do yoga from time to time, right? Is that something you?
I try to keep it in the rotation,
I loved when I did yoga many years ago. I had a great instructor, but I've gotten away from it. And I don't know why. Maybe I need to start putting that back in.
I know that you've had some limitations with your knees.
Knee and hip, yeah.
Well, because there's a lot of things in yoga where you do, your knees are on the ground. So you just have to find those modifications that work for you.
Or do it in bed. Because I've got a really good mattress, one of those Tempur-Pedics that, it cushions really well. So.
But also this little gym floor you got out here is squishy, and then you add your yoga mat on it. Have you tried yoga out there?
No, I don't think so. Well, I've done some stretching, and I don't know if I put the mat down, but
I wonder if it would be any easier on you with the thing.
We could
Plus
try.
it's hot in there, so you got hot yoga now.
I always open up the garage door to get a little bit of cross breeze.
Yeah.
I don't know if Camille will be back. She is still in the hospital. So I don't know if you saw the notes that the doctors are doing their rounds and they're coming in and out and, meeting with her. So she may or may not get back, but that I'll put the podcast if I can, she sent a link and I'll try to put it into the comments along with that calculator for your target heart rate, maximum heart rate. But the article that she listened to, it was actually a podcast, talked about how you, instead of having a snack, that's what her main point was, that you replace it with exercise. You replace the food with exercise, and it only has to be like 2 to 5 minutes. But if you do that throughout the day, it's short little breaks. It adds up to an hour, but it doesn't overstress the body. I guess that was the main point of that article, but I will try to post that so everybody can listen to it.
And then after you exercise, I don't know, whatever it's increasing, I think it decreases your appetite.
Yeah. Sometimes I'm really hungry after I exercise, but other times I think it comes afterwards. Like not right away, because when you're
Right.
finished, you're just like, in
But
fact,
then you're
I think I'm
exercising
still
again
cooling
for a
down.
couple of minutes.
I only did like 17 minutes this morning of my cardio, but after taking a hot shower, I was still like, I think I'm just coming down now and ready to have some breakfast, or brunch as I call it, because I don't really eat lunch.
Call it. You didn't make up the word brunch.
No, I mean, but that's like, I don't have breakfast and I don't have lunch. I have something in between. Brunch. All right, what else we got to say about exercise? Where's my notes? I did put some notes about
Hydration, drinking water, huh?
yeah,
Staying hydrated is one of the things.
yeah. And being careful not to overtrain or get compulsive with your exercising. I'll tell you, there's no fear of that in my life, but you know, sometimes people go too fast too quickly, and they burn out too fast, or they can actually do damage. So don't push yourself too hard. Warm up to things, do a little bit each day and increase your time or your reps or whatever. And then there was a little note about compulsive exercise, according to the NIH, is when exercise no longer feels like an activity you choose to do, but becomes an activity you feel you have to do. It becomes addictive, and it doesn't become enjoyable anymore, or they feel guilty or anxious if they don't exercise. So I haven't gotten to the point where I enjoy the cardio, but I don't hate it anymore. And so I'm coming up to that, you know, like my compulsivity would be on the other end of that, coming around the other side. But right now I'm like, I like doing it, but I don't love doing it, but I know it's good for me, so I keep doing it. But I don't think I'm compulsive at all yet. So I have no worries about that. But yeah, again, it's a whole lifestyle thing with your exercise. You want to eat well, you want to, you know, choose good nutrition so that you're fueling your body with what it needs to move. You mentioned hydration, getting good sleep. I have been sleeping better. If I work out, I find when I don't work out and I haven't been very active during the day, no matter what it is, that I don't sleep well, because I don't think I've expended, is that the word? Expended enough energy to get rid of the energy that I've stored or that I've eaten through calories or whatever. But I don't sleep as well unless I've exercised. So leaving time for rest and recovery, that you mentioned that, Jesse, that working out every day is not a good thing. And not overdoing it. But what would you say is like a good rest? Like how many days a week do you exercise? And I know you switch things up. So
Yeah, I mean, it depends on how intense it is, because if I'm not doing high intensity things, then I don't need to rest as much. But if I'm doing really intense muscle training, then I need more time to recover. And you can kind of feel if you do, you know, there was a certain, I went and took, when I was living in LA, my roommate she teaches fitness classes, and I went and took her class, and it was lower body day, and my legs and my butt were sore for 3 days afterwards. So I was like, okay, my muscles are still rebuilding after that intense workout, because we didn't address this in the beginning, but when you do muscle training, you're breaking down the fibers of your muscles, and then the recovery is what happens afterwards. That's when you build muscle. You break them down and then they build back up. And so when I feel that I'm sore, I'm thinking, okay, I need to rest and give my muscles the chance to repair themselves, because that's when the growth happens. So sometimes it's just about feeling it out.
mm-hmm.
So, and I haven't had a set routine in a while, just because my life's been so kind of strange. But you can also do active recovery. So if you're doing more intense training or whatever on your off day, on your off day, you can go for a walk or something like that, something lower intensity. So it's not, rest day isn't necessarily just laying on the couch and watching movies. You know, you can still be
Tell that to
active.
your father.
Well, he's got a lot of rest day. We're gonna play pickleball though.
Oh, good. I hope you don't get thrown out of the villages.
Well, we haven't figured out how to get in there yet, but
Okay. Camille, you want to take a moment just to talk about that podcast?
Sure. So I was listening to a podcast. It's a Girlfriend Doctor with Anna Kabecka, and she had a guy on, and they were talking about lots of different things, but one of the things was the concept of exercise snacking. And the idea behind it is, first of all, that you shouldn't snack throughout the day. But a good practice is to like replace snacking with food with activity. And instead of working out like for an hour at a time, which a lot of times it's hard to do, or it's like hard to sustain, especially like for somebody like me right now with stuff going on. And instead to break it up into really small increments throughout the day. So it could be like 2 minutes of squats, 2 minutes of, arm stretches or whatever. And if those add up to just as much exercise as if you would do it in one full, stint or hour, and that it's easier to sustain as well. And they were talking about how it shows greater benefit to the body when you do it that way for a lot of people.
Okay. I think with that type of exercise, I think you would maybe working a little bit on muscles and you might be working on flexibility, but I don't know that you can get the benefit of cardio in 2 to 5 minute segments. Maybe, I don't know.
you're using it as a replacement for snacking, then that's a healthier.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Exercise snacking. I like that.
Because sometimes snacking is just compulsive. You're bored or whatever. And so it seems like maybe it's more about retraining your body to not need that
Right.
little snack moment to give it something else, rather than maybe it's not a substitute for full workouts, but
Right.
And then again, there's that whole idea of listening to your body and like maybe trying water first, because we don't recognize thirst in our bodies as often, especially as you age. You think you're hungry, but it's really thirst.
Right. You
Catherine.
read my mind.
Did I just steal your thunder?
Yeah, I was going to say that too, but
Okay. Sorry. We think alike.
okay.
We spend so much time together virtually. I knew where Jessie was going to sit, but I thought, well, maybe she'd be sitting in Kathy's chair today because Jessie's here with me. I don't know if I said that, but she's around the corner over there.
Dad sneezed and I heard it here and then I heard it through the computer.
Did you? That man, he's so loud. I'm going to make him listen to this, especially about the yoga later.
He would benefit.
Anybody have any last words? Mary, did your card games change?
Yeah, they're not having today. Someone's busy. They can't make it.
All right, well,
No.
good. We'll make it you for a few extra minutes. I love it.
Mm.
Any last thoughts, words, deeds?
Every class I've ever been to, they say breathe.
Breathe. Yeah.
You only get to breathe, because I do. I forget to breathe, like you said before. I'm like, I can't do this, but I'm doing it.
Are you doing water aerobics? Is that what? Are you doing some of
I
that?
was, but then a few issues came up. So, and I'm just not. I'm working on it.
Mhm. Even taking a walk. I'm trying to get my husband to do it for a walk. I was trying to get him to go for a bike ride, but he's having issues with the bike. But we're going to deal with that. We're going to make him work his heart.
But going back to taking walks, I learned that it seems kind of obvious, but taking a walk, even just a 15-minute walk after you eat, is super good for your digestion. Helps your body digest better than if you just, I mean, I think we eat our meal and then we go and we sit somewhere or whatever. It just
Right.
having movement just helps facilitate digestion.
Well, maybe you can help us all do that, except for it depends on how close it is to Jeopardy, because we eat and we watch Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune, and then Grandpa goes home.
Take
So
a walk.
eat a little earlier. Maybe we have our walk at before Jeopardy. So
I mean, yeah, in 15 minutes would do it. It's not like we have to be out taking an hour-long hike or something.
right.
Not that there's anywhere to hike around here.
And then, just getting back to what Jesse was saying earlier about letting your muscles rest. Like you said, you worked out your lower body that you did at the class that you went to and letting that rest. So I think like doing maybe what has worked for me in the past was doing like maybe 2 days of lower body, 2 days of upper body, and 2 days of something that was still the HIIT training, but it was more cardio than, so I did a core one day and a cardio type thing. So I was exercising 6 days a week, but not necessarily the same muscle groups. So splitting it up is good too.
A lot of these workout apps have programs designed already that will do that help you kind of hit things and not over stress out one part of your body.
Right.
Last year or the year before, since I've been here anyway, and I've been here almost 2 years as of Monday, Tuesday, something like that. I wanted to get into yoga again. So I found on YouTube, I searched for low impact yoga or like yoga with not reservations, but like restrictions kind of thing. And I looked for different types of exercises, and there's a plethora of stuff out there on YouTube. Yes, I said plethora. On YouTube, you can find all kinds of workout videos, exercise videos, yoga videos that are designed for the older set or for people with limitations. If for me, my knees are not good, so I need low impact. That's why I get on the rebounder when I do my cardio, because if I were just jogging or doing aerobics or something on a hard floor, that would put too much stress on my body. But being on the rebounder, I jump on the rebounder, I jog, I dance, and I do a bunch of things, and it doesn't hurt my knees. So if you're looking for something, Jesse's at one level, and I've tried to do some of the things that are on the Apple Fitness, and some of them are just beyond me. But I think you can design something that fits your needs and then adapt. Like with my lazy girl morning routine, it used to be 15 minutes and now it's a half an hour. And as I discovered new muscle groups that I'm not working and I add that into that, I increase the time, but I also increase the different areas that I'm targeting and working different muscles and doing what works for you. Well, that works for me, but what works for you? So there's lots and lots of resources out there to help you design a fitness program that works for you. Any last words? This is the last word. Well, this was a great conversation. Thank you to Bobby for joining us remotely or not virtually. She wasn't really here, but for taking all that time to create that video and talk to us about yoga. And thank you, Jesse, for being on here.
Jesse.
And Camille, lovely to see you. I hope things are going well for you and that you get to go home soon. And Mary, as always, thank you. I always
You're welcome.
love seeing your face. I have no idea what we're talking about next week, but Kathy and I'll figure something out. And if you have a suggestion of something you think we should talk about that is about health, wellness, aging, not aging, whatever, nutrition. Well, we cover nutrition for 8 weeks.
Yeah.
We'll do that for a while, but we always need suggestions. Someday we're going to get back to that sleep book that Camille brought to us. Someday I'm going to finish it. I'm probably about a third of the way through.
Have you done anything on meditation? Yep.
Meditation? No, we really haven't done, that's not my expertise. Maybe Kathy knows a little bit more about that maybe, but yeah, meditation would be a good topic. We
I
go-
fail at that, so that would be a very good cop.
I'm sorry, Mary,
I,
what?
I try to meditate, then all of a sudden the shopping list comes in my head or something.
I know, I have a hard time clearing my head. You know who does meditation, I think, pretty regularly is Irene. And if we get her on here, I'm sure she would have some things to say about meditation too. So,
Mm.
all right, well,
I
maybe,
think that there are lots of different types and ways that you can do it so that, and I have not figured that out either. I'm not good at it either, but it'd be nice to like, yeah, to learn a little bit more about that and the different ways that you can do it, because I think we all have in our head like what we think it is. And then that stops us from
right.
doing it because, you know, like Mary said, you know, the stuff starts creeping into your other things and then you're like, I'm failing at this, so I'm not gonna do it anymore.
I've seen some meditation apps and they talk to you. And to me, that defeats the purpose, because if you're going to clear your head and you got this guy saying, clear your head, like all you're thinking about is that voice that's talking to you, it's a little bit weird, but yeah, I think
And I
that,
prefer the ones that talk to you and like guide you through like whether it's breathing or whatever.
right,
If they just are like sit there and breathe, forget it. My mind is gone.
right.
So it gives you something to focus on so that you can, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
All right.
Then
I
that's
have been
was thinking
sleeping
about it.
better.
Is the relaxation and they take you, some of them, I know one that I had listened to takes you through the whole body relaxation and they tell you something with okay, relax your toes, but they don't just say relax your toes, they say other things. So you're relaxing things all the way up.
Right.
And then your mind, I think, is your.
Well,
Oh,
let's not talk about it now because we won't have anything to talk about next week. But
Okay,
that was
we have to do
great.
some digging on it.
Yes, we'll do some research, and that's a great suggestion. Thank you, Camille. And thank you all for being here today. We'll see you next week, hopefully.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, ladies.
Bye-bye.
And yes,
Bye, everyone.
bye.